Get your Dead and Buried Treasures merchandise at redbubble.com with the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. T-shirts, travel mugs, hoodies, blankets, phone cases, and much, much more. You too can even take a shower with Captain Calico Drake with a shower curtain.
This is ridiculous. How is this even possible?
That's redbubble.com and use the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. So what are you waiting for? You too can be as cool as a pirate.
Yes, of course.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures. Redbubble.com.
That I thought I would dabble in the art world myself.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures.
They'll no doubt want to pay top dollar for me service. WDBT Pirate Radio. This is the Pirate's Booty, the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasures. We just got done watching tonight's new show where Dead and Buried Treasures hosted the Barbara Steele classic horror film, The Long Hair of Death. I'm series creator Erik Sprowls. I'll be here with you for the next 25 minutes or so in change, not counting commercials, or maybe we'll expand it to an hour depending on how full the queue is with your phone calls that we will be taking tonight. Your phone calls on the Pirate's Booty, we like to call them the booty calls. The queue is full right now, but you can get your calls in at 412-691-3803. That's 412-691-3803. Tonight's show is sponsored by Phoenix Comics and Toys, the official fan club of Dead and Buried Treasures, where you can get your Captain Calico Drake decoder statue to play along on the show when we send secret messages out to our fans. And if you can decode the message, and you're the first response with the correct decoded message, you can win exclusive prizes here on Dead and Buried Treasures. That fan club also comes with a commemorative, the commemorative statue, the customized photograph of Calico Drake, the welcome letter, the certificate of authenticity, the officials Dead and Buried Treasures keychain that's also included inside the hidden base of the statue. It's a real nice collectible to have that Phoenix Comics and Toys puts together for the show. Tonight's show is also brought to you by redbubble.com, the official merch of Dead and Buried Treasures. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, laptop sleeves, shower curtains, leggings, socks, you name it, Redbubble has it. Just go to redbubble.com and search Dead and Buried Treasures and shop Calico Drake's store. And you too can dress and be as cool as a pirate. So we will be taking your calls for the next half hour to an hour. And the queue is now full. So without any further ado, why don't we get into some of these calls tonight? This was not a mythology episode. This was a standalone episode where we hosted the Barbara Steele classic, The Long Hair of Death, which actually has a pretty unique title to it, which, I don't know, it's appropriate that it's not mythology and it's more comedy oriented because just the title of the movie. I think that's a horrible title. But that's just me because it makes me think of like something you pull out of your shower drain, and that's not what it is. It refers to the long hair of the female stars on the show. This was really a good girl power movie that I would think would make is kind of an overblown or a supersized Tales from the Crypt episode. How it ends, but I mean, hey, it's got creepy castles, Barbara Steele, what else could you ask for? It's a great horror film. It's from the Italian cinema. It was presented tonight with subtitles. I can't wait to hear some of the questions about that, some of the comments on that. We presented it in subtitles to capture the original feel, look, sound of the Italian cinema. Starring one of horror's greatest icons, Barbara Steele. I may have said that. She's a personal heartthrob of mine. And this is our after show. So why don't we get to your calls and get going with this. First up is, I was wondering if he calls each week. This is Colin from Charleroi. Colin, how are you tonight?
Hey guys, it's Colin from Charleroi. Long time caller. You probably remember me from, I asked a question before about Kung Fu movies on your show.
I remember.
I don't mean to press the issue, but there's a movie called Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, which was a Hammer film / Shaw Brothers co-production.
Yes.
So it had Peter Cushing in it, and also like Kung Fu people, the Shaw Brothers made that movie with Hammer, and I didn't know if that was maybe copyrighted. I like Kung Fu, I like horror, but I mean, I like what you do. You guys are good, but just wanted to put that out there for you. Didn't know if you were aware of it. Yeah, I know you said you never do like a Kung Fu movie, but this is like a little different, so that's why I'm asking.
Well, I am aware of it, Colin, and thank you again for your call. I'm quite familiar with it, and the reason I'm familiar with it is because we did a search about a month ago for public domain Dracula films, and we arrived on the Satanic Rites of Dracula. We hosted it, and YouTube, still to the best of our knowledge, that movie was public domain. We tried putting it on YouTube. YouTube rejected it, said Warner Brothers was claiming an infraction, so we couldn't host that. We ended up hosting Horror Express. So during my research, we discovered that the Legend of the Seven Draculas didn't have Christopher Lee in it. He turned it down flat. He said, and I can just picture him going, "It's not for me." I can see something like that. But Peter Cushing signed on board. So I am familiar with that movie. And I tell you what, I know you've called us before. I know you want to, see that movie on the show. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to research that film and find out if it is public domain. I doubt that it is because it's a Hammer film. Most of your Hammer films are classic horror films, and they are copyrighted. But I will check into it, and if it is public domain, I will get it on the show for you, because that way we solve your issue. You like to see some kind of Kung Fu movies on there. It's a horror film. Peter Cushing, and if I'm not mistaken, I am correct in this, if I'm not mistaken, Peter Cushing resurrected, no pun intended, the character of Van Helsing in this show, in this particular movie. So I have not seen the film. I will check in to see if it's public domain worthy, and we'll go from there and see what happens. If it works out, great, and if not, we will see what happens after that. So thank you for your call, Colin. Abigail from Fayette County, you're on WDBT, The Pirate Booty.
I was just wondering if your parent is going to be in your show more, because your parent's really hot, and I like your parent.
Well, Jack would be flattered, I'm sure. I am flattered. Technically, Jack is not a parrot. He's a cockatoo. And I'm glad you find him hot. That's odd. That's not quite a word I would use to describe Jack. But he is the co-host of Dead and Buried Treasures. And yeah, absolutely. In fact, in the next episode, he plays a rather large part in our upcoming episode with the Mummy movie The Ghoul with Boris Karloff, and the next episode will feature Jack prominently, as well as Gertie, actually. And it's sponsored by the Carnegie Science Center and their Mummy exhibit that's going to be up and running through mid-April. So make sure you come out and see that. So I'm glad you like Jack. That's that makes everything we do worthwhile. Still taking your calls at 412-691-3803. This is the Pirate Booty, the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasures here on WDBT Dead and Buried Treasures Radio. Our next call is from Bethel Park. What's going on tonight in Bethel Park?
Eric, good evening.
Good evening.
Johnny Mariano, Bethel Park. We met at the Bethel Park TV Awards
Oh, yes.
banquet in December.
Yes.
Just wanted to let you know I'm watching your show now. I also sent you a message on Facebook. Great, fantastic show. Happy anniversary.
Well, thank you very much, Johnny. That was really nice. I'm so glad you're watching. It was nice meeting you. Back in Christmas time, Johnny and I met at the Bethel Park's BPTV End of the Year Awards show, where actually Dead and Buried Treasures walked away with one of the best show awards. And I had met Johnny, a fellow producer, at the award show, and we had some fellow mutual admiration of each other's crafts, so to speak. So it's always nice to hear from a mutual fan of the show. Thank you so much, Johnny, for the kind words. It's very much appreciated. Belle Vernon, you're on the Pirate's Booty. What's going on in Belle Vernon tonight?
Hey, this is Bill from Belle Vernon. I called in not so long ago to the after show, and you had mentioned at that time about Robert Conrad being a big influence in the show, and like the Wild Wild West, and how he based like some of the themes or where you're going with the mythology on that show. So, in light of Robert's passing, Robert Conrad, he passed away. I wanted to know if you had a few words about him. I know he did Bob Black Sheep, Black Sheep Squadron, and other shows. And he did like the commercials where he had the battery on his shoulder. The battery.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And he's like, hey, punch this. He's like a tough guy like you, Eric. And I just wanted to know.
I do remember.
How's that impact? How do you feel about that? And just you want to pay respects. By the way, I love the show. I love the direction it's going in with the whole mythology. I just want to know if you want to have a few words about Robert.
I do actually. I do actually. You kind of have a bit of a truth there, Bill. Robert Conrad in the Wild Wild West TV show didn't inspire me to create Dead and Buried Treasures. He inspired me, and that show inspired me to create that particular episode, which was kind of a salute to the old Wild Wild West show. So you're kind of half right on that. Sadly, yes, Robert Conrad did pass away last month. And I was very disappointed, but I'm getting to the age now where a lot of my childhood heroes and stars are getting up there. I'm going to be devastated when William Shatner goes. I had the pleasure of meeting William Shatner a couple of times, and I hope I have half the energy in my body that that William Shatner has. I saw him last year. This was in 2019. And at the Steel City Comic Con, and I saw him at a private performance out in Cleveland. And the man is almost 90 years old, and he's telling stories, and his memory's like razor sharp, and he's hilarious, and he's fun, and it was just a fun time to meet him, and a childhood dream to meet him. I never had the opportunity to meet Robert Conrad. Robert Conrad did the Wild Wild West show, and I bought the entire series on DVD back in the day with the movies and everything that came with it, and I thought it was just a classic TV show. So if you saw the anniversary show from January, and if you have not, I would say get on the Dead and Buried Treasures channel and watch it, where we host the movie Horror Express. That entire episode was really a salute to the old Wild Wild West show. We kind of, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so we kind of took an idea from one of the old shows and used it for our show and our purposes as well. But yes, I was very saddened to learn of Robert Conrad's passing, and but we always have the memories in the TV show, right? 412-691-3803 is the number to call. The Pirates Booty. We'll be taking your booty calls here for the next, about maybe 45 minutes or so. Hopefully, I think we may end up expanding this to the hour version. There's always a half hour to an hour version, but our queue is lit solid. So I'm going to move on. Our next call comes from Cincinnati. Cincinnati, Ohio. What's going on tonight?
Hi, Eric. I'm actually calling from Cincinnati, Ohio. I loved your show tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I remember teaching at the Art Institute from Cincinnati, Ohio. I lived there for 5 years. Did you happen to go to the university at all?
No, I didn't go to the Art Institute. I went to the University of Cincinnati.
Oh, another great school right next door to the Art Institute. Yep, I'm very familiar with it.
I was wondering if you do any Alfred Hitchcock movies. I like a lot of the horror films, and I really liked the Barbara Steele film tonight. But I was wondering if Hitchcock wins. Lots of suspense and murder in those.
Yes. A lot of people have been asking about Alfred Hitchcock and if we had any plans to do some of his films. And the answer is yes. Part of the issue with us not being able to do Hitchcock is, and we talked about it on the last show with some of the Dracula films and Hammer films, a lot of these old monster movies that everybody wants to see are copyrighted. And Universal Studios owns the rights to a majority of them. And now a lot of Hitchcock's better-known films, Rear Window, Vertigo, things like that, Psycho, they're all strongly copyrighted by the motion picture companies in Hollywood. Now, some of his earlier works, I will say, like the 39 Steps, Sabotage, Rope, things like that, should be public domain. And I've done a little research on them to give us a bit of a head start on that. And a lot of those movies are public domain. So I do have some plans to utilize Hitchcock. I liked Alfred Hitchcock films myself. I think some of his films are just so far ahead of its time that it's truly amazing. I had to write part of my graduate thesis for my master's degree on Alfred Hitchcock, and his films were just so good. And so yes, the answer would be yes. I do have some plans to do something with Alfred Hitchcock, so hopefully it will unfold, as the season goes on.
Oh yeah? Well, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like I said, I told you I studied Mr. Hitchcock fairly well when I was getting my master's degree. So yes, I'm very excited to do a couple of his. I have a feeling that we'll probably end up doing the 39 Steps or Sabotage, maybe Jamaica Inn, something that has a little bit of suspense and some murder in it. Maybe it's a double feature like we did last year in one of our early episodes in the first season, where we did The Most Dangerous Game and A Bucket of Blood. So we might do something like that.
Well, keep up with the good work. It was nice talking with you.
It was nice talking with you too. I appreciate that. And Cincinnati is a great town. I lived there for 5 years. I taught at the Art Institute in Cincinnati, and I always had nothing but happy memories of that particular town, even though your football team got some issues. And I'll always be a Steeler fan. I remember I was out there at Cincinnati, and they always tried to convert me to be a Bengals fan. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That's not happening. So you can't take the black and gold out of the boys. So that wasn't about to happen. So 412-691-3803 is the number to call. The Pirate Booty will be taking your booty calls for the next 45 minutes, I think. We're going to expand this to an hour. We'll be right back after these messages.
Get your Dead and Buried Treasures merchandise at redbubble.com with the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. T-shirts, travel mugs, hoodies, blankets, phone cases, and much, much more. You too can even take a shower with Captain Calico Drake with a shower curtain.
This is ridiculous. How is this even possible?
That's redbubble.com and use the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. So what are you waiting for? You too can be as cool as a pirate.
Yes, of course.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures. Redbubble.com.
That I thought I would dabble in the art world myself.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures.
They'll no doubt want to pay top dollar for me service.
Arr, we asked and you responded.
Hi, I wanted to call in and just tell you that I just absolutely love watching Dead and Buried Treasures. I watch it with my kids, and my kids just think the bird is awesome. And I myself love watching the ghost and horror movies. It brings back a lot of memories. I used to watch those with my parents, and I just think the show is awesome, and we need more shows like that.
Hey, I was just calling in because I wanted to say I like what you guys have got going on there. I really enjoy watching it because I used to watch shows like this back when I was a kid, and watching it brings back a little bit of nostalgia from before. And I just wish there was more shows like this on the air now, because watching it brings back all those memories of before, and it's just really nice to see all that.
Hey, I wanted to call about the show for Dead and Buried Treasures. Just wanted to say, great show, especially during this time in the way this country is. It's funny. It's just a good, entertaining type of show. My family watches it all the time. It'd be great if we actually got to see it on TV versus sitting there on the iPad watching it, or on the phone and watching it, whatever. But it's fun. It's very entertaining. Makes me laugh. At the end of the day, we need more shows like that. And I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your effort putting into it. Just a good time. I hope you keep doing it because we love watching it. Thank you very much. I just had to call and tell you that. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
There are no further messages.
Operators are standing by. Call now.
Welcome back to The Pirate's Booty. That's WDBT Radio, Dead and Buried Treasures Radio. You're listening to the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasures. I'm series creator Erik Sprowls. I'm here with you, taking your booty calls in the wee hours of the night. The show just ended, and what another great show it was. We had so much fun making this episode. We hosted the Barbara Steele classic film, The Long Hair of Death, which I absolutely hate that title, but it was like a supersized Tales from the Crypt, and it was a lot of fun to put this episode together. We tried to make one that wasn't part of the mythology, and we had some comedy. This one was like Generation Baby Boomer meets Generation Z. And that's really what I thought I really wanted to do on the show. So, of course, on the show itself, Captain Calico Drake meets his great niece, or granddaughter, or however you want to play that. And hilarity ensues. So that's one of the cool things we had about the show. It was a lot of fun to do. And we'll be taking your phone calls here at 412-691-3803. The queue is full. Let's get right to it. This next call comes from Bethel Park. How's things in Bethel Park tonight?
Hey, guys. It's David again from Bethel Park.
Hi, David.
I called in a couple weeks ago.
Right. I remember.
And, I know this might be kind of like out of date, time, but I do have questions about the anniversary show that you guys did.
Yep.
And I think that Dirty Gertie looks fabulous in her dress, and I want to know what she was wearing. And also, Rich was awesome, like that suit that he wore, very handsome. And, and Drake, you always look good. Eric, you always look good in that pirate costume.
Thank you. Appreciate
But
it.
I just wanted to say you did a fabulous job in that anniversary show. I really took it in and appreciate it. And I can't wait to see what you're doing in the future for your upcoming season, your second season of shows. And we'll see more to Siren, maybe see what she looks like. I know you're like teasing me, but I want to know what she looks like. And I just really think that you guys are doing great.
Thank you so much, David. Appreciate it.
Also, I want to say, sorry to interrupt you, but also I just want to say that, I introduced this to my cousins and everything, and now we all watch the show together.
Oh, good.
And it's just awesome. Awesome sauce.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate the kind words, as always. Nice to have a return caller. I'm glad you enjoyed the anniversary show. That was a lot of fun to do. I'm glad you liked that. I'm glad you got more people watching. I would like to have heard what you thought on tonight's show, where we hosted the Barbara Steele episode. I'm hoping that maybe you got a chance to see it and you weren't just calling to, talk about a show that aired last month. But absolutely, thank you so much for the kind words on the anniversary show. The Tonight show ended at 4-1, and we're taking your calls at 412-691-3803. You're listening to the Pirate's Booty here on WDBT Radio, which is Dead and Buried Treasures. It's the official podcast of the show, and I am series creator Erik Sprowls. I'm taking your phone calls. Des Moines, Iowa is up next. Des Moines, Iowa. How are you tonight in Des Moines, Iowa?
Hey, Eric. First off, I want to tell you that I love Dead and Buried Treasures. I've been watching you for almost a year now. It's a great show.
Thank you.
And then you got Walk the Plank, the pre-show. I love that show.
Thank you.
Give us a little insight to what's going on in your upcoming show, Dead and Buried Treasures. Now you got the post-show, Pirate's Booty, and I'm loving this now. So hey, listen, you're knocking them out of the park, buddy. I love them. Now, got a question for you.
Okay.
You seem like to be the horror host with the mostest. So, Barbara Steele. She's hot. I've always loved her. Everything. I've watched her in several movies. One of my favorites being Black Sunday.
Yeah, mine too.
What other movies has she been in? I mean, what movies would you recommend me looking up to check out, to watch? Because to be quite honest, watching you guys with these movies and stuff like that, you get me thinking, and I'm like, man, I need some more Barbara Steele in my life here. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, you guys, you're killing it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words, as always. Yeah, I'm a big Barbara Steele fan myself. To me, there's really two classic women that are the queens of the scream queens as far as horror films. Jamie Lee Curtis and Barbara Steele. To answer your question about Barbara Steele movies, keep watching. There are some that we are going to have on the show, not immediately since we just did a Barbara Steele film. But some I can think of off the top of my head are Black Sunday, which was her first breakthrough role, and I'm pretty sure it's copyrighted, so you probably will not see it on this show. Nightmare Castle is another one that I would call an overblown or a supersized Tales from the Crypt episode. But I don't know the copyright status on that. I'd have to research that a little bit to find out. Nightmare Castle. Then she did some other films. I liked Castle of Blood, which is about a reporter on a bet who stays the night in a haunted castle and meets up, of course, with Barbara Steele, and he has to keep reliving the deaths that took place in the castle over the years. That was a great movie. Then there was Terror Creatures from the Grave, which was another great film. The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock. No relation to Alfred, but it was another great scare fest. Then there was But, Barbara Steele also had her share of really bad movies. Plops that I would like, ugh, that I was not a big fan of. I saw the movie She Beast with her in it, and I was very disappointed. I don't know, we might have it on the show. We had a call from a fan earlier in the week suggesting that film, and here's my feeling about She Beast. First of all, they promoted it like she's in it, and she is, like she's the big star. Well, she gets killed off in about the first 20 minutes of the film, and then she's not in the rest of it, and then she appears at the last 5 minutes, and I'm like, what the hell did I watch? So she's had some great films out there. Like, I thought the one we did tonight was good. Nightmare Castle, Castle of Blood, the best of them all, Black Sunday. These are great ones. And then she turned around and did She Beast, and it was in color. It was just horrible, and I probably would. I was not a big fan. So, it depends on what your tastes run toward. But there's some other films for you that Barbara Steele did, if that helps. You will be seeing her again on Dead and Buried Treasures, that's for certain. So the number is 412-691-3803. We'll be taking your booty calls for the next half hour. I'm Erik Sprowls, series creator of Dead and Buried Treasures. We just watched the end of another new episode, and we'll be right back after this.
Don't miss the absolute worst in monster movie mayhem on Dead and Buried Treasures.
Captain, we should be recording this.
Jack, we should be recording.
This weekend and every Friday and Saturday night at 11 with our pre-show live at 10:30 on this Fright Network affiliate and our Facebook and YouTube pages, if you dare.
Is it wrong that I want their autograph?
We asked, and you responded.
We're sorry we're not home right now. We thank you for your call. We are such merry people. We love you one and all. Please leave your name and phone number. We'll call you back with luck. But if you should hang up too soon, go take a flying.
Hi, sorry I missed you. Just leave a message.
Operators are standing by. Call now.
Get your Dead and Buried Treasures merchandise at redbubble.com with the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. T-shirts, travel mugs, hoodies, blankets, phone cases, and much, much more. You too can even take a shower with Captain Calico Drake with a shower curtain.
This is ridiculous. How is this even possible?
That's redbubble.com and use the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. So what are you waiting for? You too can be as cool as a pirate.
Yes, of course.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures. Redbubble.com.
That I thought I would dabble in the art world myself.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures.
They'll no doubt want to pay top dollar for me service. WDBT Radio, The Pirate's Booty, the official Aftershow of Dead and Buried Treasures. Welcome back. I'm series creator Erik Sprowls. I'll be with you for the next half hour, taking your phone calls, or like I like to call them, your booty calls, until the wee hours of the morning. That last caller was talking about Barbara Steele films, and she's made a lot of really good films over the years. Sadly, some of the best ones are copyrighted, that we can't show them on the show. But if you're a fan of Barbara Steele, she's done a lot of great films. We hosted The Long Hair of Death tonight, and of course it just ended about a half hour ago. But if you're looking for other great Barbara Steele films, her early films were the best ones. back when she was young in her youth, vibrant and sexy, and the horror films went along with the motif. And the Italian cinema, as far as horror films, as far as I'm concerned, was way ahead of its time and underappreciated because Hollywood was all about making the horror films with color and everything. And the classic Barbara Steele films were, I just thought, iconic, were Black Sunday, Castle of Blood, Nightmare Castle, Terror Creatures from the Grave. She made a number of great suspense and horror films that the lighting was great and the music was wonderful. Mario Bava was one of her directors on the first one that was just fantastic. And she just made so many good, great films. And, I was so proud to have got to host the one tonight, The Long Hair of Death. It was a great film, a lot of fun. I like to call them overblown episodes of Tales from the Crypt. In fact, one of our producers, who will be eventually, I promise, co-hosting the Pirates Booty here in the next few episodes to come, Scott Bowman, had the opportunity to meet Barbara Steele back in just a short few years ago. And she's obviously, like we all do, we've gotten a little bit older, but Scott told me that she's still a very nice woman who really appreciated her time in the sun as far as the Italian cinema went. And, Scott is supposed to be hosting this show with me, but one circumstance after another has led to me doing it solo, and that will change. And Scott's like, I'm sure he's upset by it, but we will get Scott back on the show. But I'm sure he would tell you that Barbara Steele was a really nice, very, very nice woman who really appreciated what she had the opportunity to do in years past. 412-691-3803. We're taking your booty calls on the Pirates Booty for about the next half hour or less. Let's get right to it. Baton Rouge. We have a phone call from Baton Rouge tonight. You're on the air. What's going on? You're on the air with the Pirates Booty. How are you tonight from Baton Rouge?
Hi, Eric. Thanks
Hi.
for taking my call as always.
Thank you.
Another great show tonight. It's a lot like the X-Files sometimes. Some episodes are mythology, some are standalone.
Yeah, we like to do a little bit of both. We didn't have a mythology episode tonight because sometimes we like to do standalones, and 99 times out of 100, if we do a standalone, it's comedy. And if we do a mythology, it doesn't have as many laughs because we like to stick with the pirates and the ghosts, and we have a nice blend of both sometimes.
Well, in any case, I thought it was hilarious, some of the stuff you guys did. I really like the fact that it was old school versus new school. I have a couple of kids myself. I could tell you stories.
Oh, yeah, and that what really inspired me was Adriana. I've known her for a number of years, and I really liked how it was my initial idea to do, you hear so much about the entitled generation now, and you hear so much about Generation Z and the millennials and how they take everything for granted and they don't work hard. And, well, you know what? Some of the old school people can be that way too, and I really like the idea of old school versus new school. Like, she and I going at it. Quipping back and forth about things on the ship, and so it kind of inspired me to do a lot of the stuff you see on that show tonight was inspired by actual events that I've actually seen Adriana do, having known her now for the last several years, believe it or not. So it was a lot of fun to do.
Well, again, great job. My whole family was laughing. You really nailed a couple things right on the head.
Good.
My question was, do you have plans to have her back on the show? And second, can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to write this episode?
Well, I think I kind of just told you. You know what? Some of the things, how can I say this? Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. I don't have initial plans for her to be on the show right away. And I think because of her age, she's actually not 15. She's older than she looks. She's playing a younger role of 15. So if we wait much longer to get her on the show, she's not going to be the young kid anymore that we can have fun with. Now, what might be interesting is if we have her come back on the show and now she's going to college or something like that. I don't want to do another remake of what I just did because it wouldn't be as special. I like to do special things each time we do this. I don't like to just crank out a normal episode unless I'm just kind of need some time off. You know what I mean? And I just need some time away from writing. But I don't have initial plans to bring her back, but she probably will in the future. And what inspired me to do this episode is, like I said, I know Adriana. And I've known her for a number of years now. I've known her actually since she was born, years and years ago. So how many years is that? That's a lot of years in between. So I've seen her stumble and fumble her way through high school and beyond. And I've argued with her. I've watched her argue with her mom. I've watched her grow up. And sometimes it's just hilarious what goes on with the generation gap of now versus then. In fact, let me tell you something, and I'll tell you this quick before I move on. A friend of mine told me a story about kids. They're taking clocks, like clocks with faces and numbers on them, out of schools because people don't know how to tell time. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, they don't know how to read a clock on the wall. They don't know what it means. They know digital clocks and how to read a digital clock to know what time it is, but they don't know how to read time on a clock. And I'm sitting there, are you kidding me? You don't know how to read a clock? Who doesn't know how to read a clock? And that's one of the things that inspired me to do the episode, because they don't know how to read a clock. They don't know how to tell time with the face, like a grandfather clock. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, that's crazy. And then I saw a video online about a kid, like a phone rang, and the kid didn't know how to answer the phone. And he's like picking it up going, Siri, hello? And he didn't know how to talk on a phone. Like, you pick it up, put it up to your ear. Now, this is the old school phones with the cords, where before we had wireless cell phones, like that attaches to the wall. Now, most kids nowadays look at me like I'm an idiot. But I'm like, I saw this video online. I'm like, what? You don't know how to answer a phone? You know how to tell time? What good are you? So what inspired me to write the show is just the comedy that could ensue, because technology changes so fast that I just thought it was a hilarious kind of a paradigm to deal with. So.
Well, great show tonight. I can't wait to see the next episode.
Thank you.
I'm a real big fan of mummies, Egyptology, things of that nature. I can't wait to go to the Carnegie Science Center.
Yes, we're hosting the movie with Boris Karloff, The Ghoul, and it'll be a lot of fun. Where the Carnegie Science Center is on board, is one of our sponsors, and we have a lot of plans on not doing a mythology, but it'll be kind of a neat standalone episode. It'll be a lot of fun. I've never been big on mummy movies, but the character who plays Gertie on the show, Dana Kanji, loves that Egyptology stuff, and she's actually the one that kind of inspired me to write this episode with the Ghoul. So I thought that would be a lot of fun, and it's going to give her a lot of chance to break out as an actress. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks again, Eric. See you next time.
All right, thank you. 412-691-3803 is the number. That's 412-691-3803 for your booty calls on the Pirates Booty, WDBT Radio, the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasure. Our next call is from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, my hometown. How are you tonight?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, good.
Rich, Eric, I love the pre-show off the plug as well as the actual main show, Dead and Buried Treasures. Reason I'm calling, I have a question for Rich tonight. I enjoyed when you did the show, the big anniversary program, and I want to know, and you said natural in front of the camera during the show, and also the pre-show host. I wondered if there's a chance maybe you would be reappearing on the main show, maybe in some other capacity, on Dead and Buried Treasures, maybe playing another character. I think you're a natural. I think you're good. And I feel like Erik would be a fool not to use you more in his stuff. So what do you guys think?
Well, first of all, this is the Pirate's Booty. It's not Walk the Plank, so Rich is not on this show. Rich Kanji is the host of our pre-show, Walk the Plank. I'm kind of doing the show solo tonight. This is our after show, not our pre-show. And Scott Bowman, who will become our host soon enough, will be the host of this show. But I'm kind of doing it solo tonight because we still have to get our footing on it. To answer some of your questions, I can answer them. Rich, if we can write another role for Rich to come back on the show, I think it's a lot of fun. I think he did a great job with his acting debut as our main antagonist in the last show, our anniversary show, where he actually played the villain, a Captain Walter Time. And I actually had the idea of doing the Captain Walter Time villain when I happened to walk past a display at Halloween for pirates in Home Depot, of all places. And I was like, oh, that looks really cool. But it didn't come off as well as I had hoped when I actually put it on film, or when I recorded it, because while it was kind of a cool idea, I think, the effect didn't play as well as I thought, or wasn't quite as scary as I had hoped. But that's what I was dealing with as far as the animation and the animatronics and things like that. It wasn't half bad, but it was a good reason and a down reason, because it didn't quite work the way I expected. It gave me an idea to rewrite the mythology in another direction. And I like this new direction even more that you'll see over the next few months, where it's, everybody says, oh, who's this Captain Walter Time? He's the new bad guy. I said, well, maybe. He might be just one of many bounty hunters that are trying to go after Calico Drake and his crew. There's a tiny, tiny spoiler, if you might, of kind of a direction that's trying to find the island of dead and buried treasures for a main villain. Now, Rich, of course, played Captain Walter Time before he changed, which I thought was kind of cool in itself, but, we slowed down the videotape a little bit and made him sound evil, and, he had the cigar and the tie, and was evil. So I think he might come back. I think that was always kind of fun. And I think that Rich had a good time playing it, so we'll see. I think that would be a nice revisit. 412-691-3803. We're only going to be on the air here for a few more minutes, but we're getting down to the last of your calls. If we don't get to your call tonight, feel free to please leave a voicemail or call back next time on the show. We do the show after every time we do a new episode, and we really care about your feedback and what you have to say. Another call from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, you are on the air. How are you tonight?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'm a local film student, and I was just wondering if you were ever going to show any Alfred Hitchcock movies.
You know what's funny? We took another call from somebody else tonight. Alfred Hitchcock. It's interesting. I'm glad to see you're a film student. I used to teach that kind of area at a couple different colleges, at Bethany College and at the Art Institute and over in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's the plan. Hitchcock is another area that people seem to forget about because they're so focused on monster movies, but Alfred Hitchcock was they called him the master of suspense. He was a great director, and he directed some classics. A lot of them, like I said earlier to another young lady who had called in, a lot of them are copyrighted, but some are public domain. So, yeah, I think I just might give that a shot sooner or later. Some of his early films are public domain. I thought Alfred Hitchcock was a great director. I wrote part of my thesis on him for my master's degree, and I think that we just might do one or two films there in the next year or so. So keep an eye out for that kind of thing. 412-691-3803, WDBT Pirates Radio. You're listening to The Pirates Booty, taking your booty calls for the next, Well, we're getting ready. We're winding things down here, but we'll take as many as we can get in the next 10 minutes or so, next 5 minutes or so. We just concluded our new episode tonight, and we have another call from Erie, Pennsylvania. What's going on in Erie tonight? Hello, Erie. Are you there?
Hey, Eric.
Hi. How you doing?
My name's Andy. Just moved out here to Pittsburgh probably about a year and a half ago, and really enjoying the show. All right, Ma. Hold on. I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone with Eric. He's the guy we watch on Friday nights. He does the Dead and Buried Treasure Show. Jeez, boy. So,
you have problems, Andy?
Big fans of the show, obviously. Yeah.
Thank you.
Me and my mother, we actually watch a show every Friday night, and I actually bought some of your merchandise. I got some leggings for Ma here. You won't want to see what that looks like.
I can imagine.
And I got myself a T-shirt. But
good. I'm glad. Thank you.
I've been hearing a lot about the fan club. What's the deal with the fan club, man? We got this going on, or what?
Yep.
I want to join your fan club. I think what you guys do is amazing. I love your pre-show. It's awesome. So, what's the details on the fan club? When can we join this thing here?
Well, things. The show has really taken off, even beyond some of my own expectations. I'll be honest with you. I never envisioned a pre-show. I never envisioned an after show. I just envisioned doing the Dead and Buried Treasure show. And to be very honest, it was humbling when somebody said, you need a pre-show. I said, what's a pre-show? He said, don't you watch wrestling? I'm like, no, I don't watch wrestling. I said, you can't watch everything. I said, do you like the Penguins? And they're like, no, I don't watch hockey. I said, well, there you go. I said, I don't watch wrestling. They said, well, a pre-show is like a show that they do to get people excited to watch the main show. I said, oh. So we kind of did a pre-show, and I thought, well, maybe we could do something with a pre-show where we go behind the scenes of the show and we talk about the making of every show and how we did it and things like that, And I said, so let's try a pre-show. So we did a pre-show, and boom, there it is. We're doing a pre-show. And then all of a sudden, maybe a month or two after that, he said, you know what? You need an after show. An after show? Why do we need an after show? I said, The Walking Dead has an after show. I said, oh. They said, they have all these other after shows now. They have all this after shows. They have the Walking Dead after show. There was a couple other after shows for other sci-fi shows and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, so now we need an after show. And I said, I don't want to do another Walk the Plank show afterwards and make it look like we're sandwiched in between. That just seems repetitive. You know what I mean? I said, let's do something a little different. So we came up with this idea, the Pirate's Booty, and it was like a radio show. I said, you don't even show us. We're just it's easy to do. We take your phone calls. It's a hell of a lot easier for us to take your phone calls this way than it is to have to deal with doing television and cameras and firing up the cameras at, 2 in the morning, or when the show ends in Pittsburgh at 2 in the morning or 11 o'clock at night after the YouTube show airs, or sometimes after the Monster Channel is done with us, or the Vortex. It's like, I said, let's just do like a radio show where we hook up a microphone and we take some phone calls and we talk a little bit about the show. So that's how we got all these shows. So I really am flattered. I'm glad you like the show, and that makes us feel great here at WDBT. So, to answer your question about the fan club is ready to go. I've seen the Calico Drake decoder statues. They look fantabulous. Of course, I'm flattered because it's me. I never expected that. But all of a sudden, Phoenix Comics and Toys contacts me out of the blue a few months ago and says, hey, we want to do this thing with your show. It's amazing. I said, oh, that's great. He says, yeah, we're going to include an 8x10 photo. You sign them. A certificate of authenticity comes with it. They're numbered. They're collectibles. Like a welcome letter to the fan club. And then, you have all this stuff going on. A doubloon that you can order. It's also a keychain, and you can decode messages. I said, I promise I won't put any messages on the air. It says, drink your Ovaltine. And so the show, it's taken off, and the fan club's ready to launch. I just signed a whole bunch of 8x10s, and we personalize each one to anyone who becomes a member of the fan club. That's not me, so don't contact me about that. You got to contact Phoenix Comics and Toys, who's one of our sponsors tonight. They are the masterminds behind the fan club. Google them on the internet, or like Paul Rudd would say, on the intranet, on the Google, and it's called Phoenix Comics and Toys. Get yours. You'll have a lot more fun on the show playing the games that we're about to launch next on our next episode, where you can solve puzzles and win prizes if you're quick enough, that kind of thing, and you'll have a great time with the fan club. This show has really taken off beyond my expectations, and we'll be trying this to see how it works out. And I think it's fantastic. I've seen the statues. They're worth it. They're really nice. Super nice collectible if that's the kind of thing you like to do. And we've had a lot of requests on these statues, not just from the Pittsburgh area, but from around the country. So we'll see how that all works out. So Phoenix Comics and Toys, check them out. They're one of our sponsors tonight. They are the official Dead and Buried Treasures fan club. Other sponsor tonight was Redbubble.com, where you can also get other merch like t-shirts, hoodies, laptop sleeves, shower curtains, leggings, socks, you name it. They got it at Redbubble.com. Just go to the website, search for Dead and Buried Treasures, and you'll find Calico Drake's store. They were our other sponsor for tonight. It's been a great time talking with all of our fans, doing the call-in for the last hour. We hope you enjoyed this month's show. If you're a newcomer to the show, feel free to go back and watch some of our other shows that we've done in the past. There's been a lot of great episodes out there, from times that we met Batman in a real bat cave, and Calico Drake had to battle Batman, and I think that was the episode we hosted called The Bat with Vincent Price, to where we caught a real ghost on film when we hosted the movie Dementia 13, to Zombie Uprising in Night of the Living Dead, where the movie came to life and was starting to bring the dead to life in Pittsburgh. That was a lot of fun. Tonight's episode, of course, had one of my favorite Scream Queens in it, Barbara Steele, in The Long Hair of Death. It's been a lot of fun doing this. It's a lot of fun taking your calls each time we do a new episode. I don't ever take that for granted. Thanks again for calling in. If you didn't get on the air tonight, we couldn't get to everybody. The queue is still lit up. I apologize to everybody out there. We only have an hour to do this. Please feel free to call in again next month. We'll see what we can do. 412-691-3803. The Pirate's Booty, taking your booty calls after a new episode is over till the wee hours of the morning. You're listening to WDBT Radio, the after show, the official after show of Dead and Buried Treasures. Thank you again to everyone who helped this evening. Thank you to all of our callers who called in. We'll see you next time on Dead and Buried Treasures. And remember, it's a pirate's life for me. We'll see you next time. This is Erik Sprowls. Take care.
Don't miss the absolute worst in monster movie mayhem on Dead and Buried Treasures.
You know, Captain, we should be recording this.
You know, Jack, we should be recording.
This weekend and every Friday and Saturday night at 11 with our pre-show live at 10:30 on this Fright Network affiliate and our Facebook and YouTube pages, if you dare.
Is it wrong that I want their autograph?
Get your Dead and Buried Treasures merchandise at redbubble.com with the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. T-shirts, travel mugs, hoodies, blankets, phone cases, and much, much more. You too can even take a shower with Captain Calico Drake with a shower curtain.
This is ridiculous. How is this even possible?
That's redbubble.com and use the search words Dead and Buried Treasures. So what are you waiting for? You too can be as cool as a pirate.
Yes, of course.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures. Redbubble.com.
That I thought I would dabble in the art world myself.
That's redbubble.com and search for Dead and Buried Treasures.
They'll no doubt want to pay top dollar for me service.